So again, this is sort of getting into an observing space, a meditative space, where you are so self observant that you are reading yourself, the person you're talking to, and the room all at the same time. You're not in your own head and heart trying to pick the next words to say. That's why I flow so quickly. See, when folks can't flow so quickly, I start to think they're not in God's mind eye. They're not in a flow state. They're in a state of picking their next thought and feeling and then justifying it. That's a problem because it's very rarely correct and true. And then they want me to validate it. My job is not to validate your internal cyclical cycles that cause you and everyone problems. My job here is to lead you out of that to a space of peace and serenity, what we would call nirvana, where nothing in your environment is going to overtake you and affect you so much that you become mismanaged in your affairs or your inner space. This is a key to power and success. This is a key to apprehending reality accurately and not projecting onto it.
That's a picture of Dublin City. I took it last night as I was walking into Dawson Street to meet a friend, and it's a cool picture. Look, it's got the lights shining down, and right in the back there, between the light strobe things going past, it's like the moon and the and the clouds. It looks really really cool, dude. So I just stopped there for a second on this kind of like road, middle of the road kind of, and just to take it quickly because I just thought it was really really cool. Anyway, so I'm showing this picture just because of to connect on what Paul was talking about there and last night, right? So when he's talking about a flow space, when he's talking about reading yourself, reading someone else that you're talking to, reading the room, this is exactly what me and my friend were talking about last night as we were sitting down in this restaurant for dinner, right? And entering into that flow space where you can, and what it just happens that you can interact with people and you can pick up like spidey senses, you can pick up like a sixth sense, so to speak, kind of thing, right? So and you can get into a flow space and you can read yourself, right? You can read what's going on within yourself. Okay, you can read other people, you can detect what's going on, you can read the sexual looks that people are doing with one another, and you see it in yourself, you see it in other people, and you can have, and loads of things are happening at the same time. You can comment to people, you can talk to people, you can be in a flow space with people, you can even call people out for their benefit, but it has to be done with goodwill. Keep saying this even to myself and everyone else who's listening to the channel. If you have negativity and you have no goodwill and judgment towards other human beings, you cannot get into a flow space. It's impossible. All right. So whenever I'm not in a flow space, it's because, and I detect it, observe, you're going back to the old program, and it keeps coming in and it keeps going out. You go back to the old program, you go into a flow space. You can call it whatever you want. Words it's unnameable, right? So last night we talked to loads of different people. We had great fun, me and my friend, and I was talking to him about this. He knew what I was talking about. Who's older than me, a bit older than me, and we had great fun. And we could observe everything. We could observe people. We had a great time, and we didn't need to do anything. We didn't need to engage with anyone, even though we engaged with loads of people. The bouncer, nice guy, into the bar. We had great fun, and you can call people out, even the high prices. I had good fun with people calling them out, but in a humorous, jesting kind of way, and not making enemies out of people. So that's one of the things that me and my friend talked about last night while we were in town, right? Is you can walk between the raindrops. When you go into Dublin City, it is like a madhouse and it is full of savages. You can see all this everywhere, right? But you can walk between the raindrops, so to speak, because once you are in that flow state, you can detect everything. Like I said, like spidey senses. You know what's going on. You can detect everything. You know who's dangerous. You know how to talk to people. You know the people to stay away from. You can see all the fakery. You can see all the nonsense. You can see all the games that people are doing. But it's not judgment. It's just an operation. That's operating, right? And so when we were talking at the end of the night, we just had like some chips at the end of the night, and it was finishing up, and we got a taxi back and stuff. But we were talking about the fun that we had last night in town because it wasn't dependent on anything with anyone that we were interacting with. we didn't really need anything. We could just look over at each other and we knew we were having a good time. And it was just an energy, right? So one of the captions that we came out with was, one of the words, the phrases that we came out with was kind of like, you don't make enemies of anyone. If someone starts a fight with me in town, I'm going to defend myself, right? That's different. But we shouldn't be walking around making enemies or trying to make enemies of anyone. We got on with everyone that night, laughing and joking with people where needed be, right? And, appreciate you, no problem, joking around, messing around. We tried to get into this bar. They wouldn't let us in. We're just messing around with the bouncer, saying, look, this guy is in Alcoholics Anonymous. And as a friend, I'm taking him out into a few bars because I'm his friend, just to help him out for the night. Right. So we're just joking, trying to get into the bar, but it's all in jest, right? Because there's no self there. When there's no self there, you can move and operate between the raindrops because you're not connected. You can't have trouble with people when there's no one there. How can you? Right. So, and then to cut back into what Paul was talking about, and he's dead right. I don't agree with Paul simply because I'm like, oh, it's a cult leader, and kind of like, oh, look, you're just mesmerized by it. No, I can live it when I see it in myself and I observe everything in myself and then make the connections to what he's talking about and observe myself. I know what he's saying is true. That's it. That's why I support the guy. That's why. That's exactly why, right? So the flow space is unreal when you get into it, man. You're kind of like, you're just on full alert, but the problems that Paul's right, the problems that we have when we're not in a flow space, and the problems that we're causing them. So it was interesting the last night because in Dublin city centre last night, what Paul was talking about was operating through me and my friend when we were in the city centre. And not only from my own studies, it comes from observing, learning from someone that's higher than me, which is Paul Enslaved. Okay, and that is the way it should be. It should be that way. You should give credit to people and go like, yeah, I've observed this guy. I've been listening to this man. I've been trying to learn from this man and listen to him, put my ego aside and listen to him, and I can validate what he's saying is true. We shouldn't be making enemies of anyone. We can walk between the raindrops. We can be in a flow space. We can just operate. But the program keeps coming in when you start doing it and then going away again. Coming in and going away again. And that's fine because it needs to be. Program is very, very, very heavy. That's what the Matrix is about. It's very, very heavy, and we've lived with it most of our lives. So it's very hard to get into a state. Just say the little video I made yesterday, goofing around about the €2 thing with Paul, or the $2, whatever it was. It was just a joke online that we had when I was talking to him, or when he was saying some stuff. So it was just a little joke. I sent the $2, sorry, and they sent it back. And then I made a little video, and that was a flow space. It was just, okay, I'll put the camera on for a second. I'm not even going to know what the hell I'm talking about, and I'll just wrap something off. Boom, 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 boom. And I listened to it back a few times, man. To me, anyway, I don't know about anybody else. I thought it was fucking funny, dude. Once you know, it's just in jest and it's goofing around. And there was loads of other things going on in that talk. I was mimicking other things. I was mimicking Jack Talcott and the other people there are fighting against Paul because they don't really, they're hesitant to understand what he's talking about, right? So there was loads of other things going on there within it as well, but it just was rapping and in a flow space, and it can like come out without you even really thinking about it, right? So I don't want this recording to be too long, so I'm gonna say adios. So adios.